Hi, I'm Hazel. It's Saturday today, which makes it time to sit down and catch up on the WoW news of the week, what I have been up to, and answer some of your questions. This week is kind of the calm before the storm news week in that we have the expansion announcement coming next week, so we'll talk about that next week, and the rest of the news is kind of waiting until then. But there are a couple of things that happened this week. One of them, on live servers, the Creation Catalyst has finally come out, so we are now able to craft tier outdoors in Zereth Mortis. There is no unlock quest line, you can just walk right up to it and use it, and if you don't have flying yet, there is a teleporter pad on the bottom. It's down south in the botanical gardens. Is that what they're called? That can't be what they're called. It's too relaxing. Anyways, it's right here. You walk up to it, plug a base item in, and then it will tell you how much cosmic flux it needs to turn it into the new thing. There are loads of items that are eligible to be base items, such as Sandborn Relic gear, Antros World Boss drops, Raid Mythic Plus PvP gear, anything from the vault, and Sepulcher of the First One's BOEs also count. So if you buy raid BOEs from the new raid, you can use those in the Creation Catalyst to turn into new gear, including tier gears. So technically, sort of, you can use gold to get tier if you really want to and you have a lot of gold. For me, that meant that my main crafted her very first 278 tier piece. I had a vault item cached away for this particular moment, and hopefully eventually looking to have 4 of those done and on for just like the extra raw item level of it. Also, fun fact, the appearance of your piece that comes from the Creation Catalyst will depend on the item level of the item that went into it, and a 278 item will generate a new piece that has the Mythic tier set appearance. So even if you are like me and you never touch Mythic and you will not touch Mythic, you can eventually collect the Mythic raid set appearance by plugging 278 items into the Catalyst. The 278 items coming from your weekly vault after having completed a Mythic Plus Keystone 15 or higher. Eventually you can get it done that way. It will not be very fast, but it's kind of neat. Never been able to get that before. Speaking of Mythic Plus, this week also brought Legion Mythic Plus into the game along with Legion Time Walking. For a couple more days, you can get a Time-Worn Keystone from an NPC by the Great Vault, and then head off into a Legion dungeon to relive 2017. There are some best-in-slot items, particularly trinkets, that are available from these dungeons, so some people are going to be running quite a few of them this week. I tried a couple of them. I want to say like a 15 and a 16, or maybe a 16 and a 17, somewhere around there, and I have some thoughts. First of all, I kind of figured that I would remember something from having done these in Mythic Plus back in Legion, because I played in Legion, and I did some Mythic Plus back in Legion. It's not like this is content I've never seen before, and I don't know about you guys, but I remembered basically nothing, especially about the boss mechanics in the boss fight. It's one thing when you're doing it in like a regular time-walking dungeon where the mechanics don't super matter and you're like, oh hey, there's that guy again, he does the thing. But when the thing kills you, it suddenly becomes a lot more apparent how little, at least I recollected. And then the other thing was that because of the difficulty, and mind you, a lot of this has now been hotfixed and tuned down. The last boss of Vault of the Wardens has seen some changes. But because of the relevant level of difficulty, it kind of felt a little bit like that phase at the beginning of an expansion where you're running the keys with your groups and you're trying to kind of figure out, you know, the timings and the mechanics, and everybody's relearning the fights, except that it feels like a little bit of a waste of energy, just because usually at the beginning of a season you're expecting to be doing those keys for months and months and months, whereas this is something that is available for 1 week and then we don't have to worry about it anymore. Maybe it's less relearning for other people. Maybe I am unique in how much I did not remember from these dungeons. But for my part, at least, it felt like it was a pretty big ask of learning these completely, what I know they're not new, but they felt new dungeons that are not going to be available very often. I don't think I'm asking for them to be up more often. I don't really have a request here. I'm just, that was just one of the things that I felt, was that it feels like a little bit of an odd energy investment to put this much work into learning these keys when it's just for a week. The Infernal Season affix also didn't really do a whole lot for me. Maybe that's my bias as a healer. You know, I miss my because does something for me, and Infernal doesn't really do a whole lot for healers. There's a damage component on the bosses, but it's kind of messy and it feels a little bit underwhelming. But that's just my own personal lens and my bias of it. I'm curious to hear how other people have been receiving those Time-Worn Keystones. And then in my life this week, we got Heroic Lord the Dread down, so we are now progressing on Heroic Ragallon, who is once again hard. Our raid is reaching a point now where we've kind of already got all of the quantum leaps in power that we're going to get. You know, everybody has double legendaries. Now with the Creation Catalyst, I believe everybody has 4 sets, so it's just a matter of like item level and optimizations now. So the rest of our progress is going to have to come the old-fashioned way from just some work and, you know, log review and that kind of thing. Speaking of log review, for the first time in an embarrassingly long amount of time, I actually went in and dug into my Warcraft logs because I haven't been parsing very well this tier, and I kind of wrote it off as, you know, quirkiness with, you know, tier sets having come back, so like really good players were playing in my difficulty and, I don't know, affecting the grading curve. I don't know what my excuse was, but anyways, my parses have sucked. And I finally went in and started comparing my logs against the logs of players that are parsing well, and then also like kind of playing my spec, have my gear, you know, similar raid sizes, similar fight lengths. And I'm starting to wish I had done that earlier because now I have like some new tips. There's like some talent changes that I can make. I want to mess around with Leech more because there's a couple people that have bonkers parses that have like kind of whatever gear, but then just Leech. And I want to try all the things. I'm itching for another raid night, but I like just finished my raid for the week, so I gotta wait a few days. I should have done this ages ago, but I didn't really know what I was looking for, and now I guess I do, so better late than never. It's just kind of nice to check the logs to see like where another person playing your spec uses their cooldowns, for example. Like where are they using Fey Guardians? Where are they using him? Where are they using Salva? How are they getting 2 salvas off in a 6-minute fight? That's a lot of cooldown reduction. I gotta work on this. Anyways, it was enlightening, if a little bit bad for my ego. And then the other thing that I did was I finally got around to starting to gear up a DPS alt. I finally actually have started doing it. I'm gearing up a BM Hunter. She's at like 243 or so, and I have found that Zereth Mortis is surprisingly alt-friendly from the get-go, which I appreciate. A lot of the endgame zones took like patches for those quality of life changes to be brought in, and Zereth Mortis goes down pretty easy when you start it now. It's not too bad for an alt. And secondly, it's really fun playing a fresh character when you have gear upgrades just around every corner. There's something exciting about doing an LFR and getting a trinket to drop and thinking, wow, I actually need that. And questions for this week. Barbus asks, if they announce that BlizzCon is coming back, are you going? I see a lot of people salivating for an announcement. They really want it. I personally, just for me, am not going anytime in like the next year or probably 2 and possibly longer, just depending on how I feel comfort-wise. BlizzCon is wonderful, but it's also something that is stressful and expensive at the best of times. I'm still living pretty small, and I don't know when I'm going to feel comfortable with that kind of large-scale thing again. Hopefully one day, but I'm not in a big rush to get there. And Jill wants to know, Hazel, do you have any advice for people who have always been solo and have anxiety playing in groups who want to get more into group content coming into the next expansion? I can't seem to find a good guild. Pugging is very anxiety-filled. Have a lovely day. Oh, I relate. I hate pugging and I hate looking for guilds, but those are really the options. You either find a guild or you keep pugging and hopefully find a guild, because at least if you can find that mythical unicorn group of people that you can play with, then you cling to them for dear life and you're good. I would try not to get discouraged and keep looking. You've got recruitment forums for your realm. There will be Guild Finder. One thing that I recommend is to, when you're pugging, keep an eye out for guild groups, because not only does that open you up to off-server guilds, but it'll also show you guilds that are specifically looking for players like you because they're pugging for them. They need people if they're pugging generally. I know those don't grow on trees, but keep an eye out and don't be shy about handing out your B tag and letting people know that you are looking if the run went well after a run like that. That was how I found my very first guild way back in Cataclysm, not the guild I'm with now, but pugging into a guild group can sometimes work. It's kind of like online dating mixed with online job hunting in that it's the worst, but if you can find something, then hopefully you don't have to look again. And that's been the week. Keep an eye open because next Tuesday, April 19th is the new expansion announcement. I'm going to be watching it live on stream in the morning, and then there will be content. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got a question for one of these videos, please pop it in the comments. Maybe wait until after Tuesday for some fresh things to talk about. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.